Hey YouTube, what's up? Welcome back. Today we are going to go over socket organization and what works for me, my thought process behind it when I was trying to set up some socket organization, and how it's ended up and how it's worked over the years. So if you're looking at getting into the tech field, I highly recommend getting organized and getting organized quick. Organization can be fairly cheap, modular, and inexpensive. I know this is a very expensive career if you get into it, so let's try to save money where we can. So going over it, I know today we got like tool grid, and I've heard that's really expensive. Why I stay away from something like that is, one, I like the modularity of moving stuff around as I grow. I understand with the tool grid you can do that, but it just takes a lot more time than picking up something and, let's say, turning it to the side. So I'm not the biggest fan of that. I also don't like that tool grid. Everything is locked into the box. So depending on where you work, if you switch jobs, you're working out of your big box at the dealership, you go to an independent shop, or HE, and you're working out of a cart and your big box is just kind of mother base, you can't take that tool grid, pick it up, and put it in your cart. So I stayed away from that. There are other socket trays that I looked at. I actually had some for a while and I gave them away. Those socket trays, I think they're Ernst, where the little tabs come up and out and you can see the numbers. I'm not the biggest fan of those. Those take up a lot more space than this setup. They also require you to have the exact socket to match the number. So in addition to, Chromies don't work on every brand, or impacts don't work on every brand because they're a little bit thicker, where Chromies will. So I didn't really like the modularity of, hey, if your set goes from a 19 down to a 5 and Ernst goes from a 6 to a 21, you're going to be missing the 21, and you're going to be and it won't have the 5. So I wasn't a fan of those. I find it easy. Those are nice if you're missing a socket. With these, you can clearly see, hey, there's still a socket missing. They sit on these little tabs with the ball detent. And I guess now is a good reason why I chose this style of these trays and singular rails floating around my box as well. Going into price, they are relatively cheap. I think 20 bucks maybe they were 15 when I bought them years ago. I don't know how much the price is, but you can pick these up at Lowe's. You can pick them up on Monster Tool. You can pick them up at Ulsa Tools. Lowe's, back in the day, these were Cobalt branded. Now the red ones are Craftsman and the blue ones are Cobalt, because Lowe's bought Craftsman. So Lowe's still has these. They're fairly cheap for the money, and you can hold a lot of sockets on them. On top of that, why I went with these is they are modular. So you can see these little rails and these little pin detents in there, and you can move these guys all around. And what I mean by that is not just slide them back and forth, but you can actually set it up different ways and to have different sizes. So how one of these trays they come with 1/4 inch row, 2 3/8 row, and then 1/2 inch row. Now clearly I don't have that anymore. In my two trays I have 2 1/4 inch, 4 3/8, and then 2 1/2 inch rows. So you can move them around, what I like, and really make them fit to your own. And as you can see, I can really push them in. So with the chromes, all this is metric and everything on this side is standard. With the impacts, all I have is metric, and you can just see how much more the 1/2 inch or the impacts take up for space wise. With some of this dead space over here, I took some of the extra little clips and threw in my weird sockets, like this 25 or 33. I think this was for Super Duty ball joints. I could throw in my weird little one size off chrome sockets and stuff that, don't really have another place on the rack or whatever, but I don't want floating around my box. My one spark plug socket that works pretty much for every spark plug I've done so far. One Allen for a Toyota front diff and all that to drop it. But you can really build on these, modulate them, just kind of customize them as you want, and they hold a whole bunch of sockets. So from here all the way down to here, that's all these rails, all my basic sockets that I need. So for all my weird sockets or expanding sockets, like my 12-point Craftsman that I bought years ago, I think this is my first actual socket set. I have them sitting on rails. These are 12 points. So these rails are from Ulsa Tools. They come in 3 colors, at least when I bought them, blue, black, and red. And they come with the same style clips that these rail or trays come on. And I'll show you right there. Yep, same clip, ball detent, and these slide around too. So what's cool about these is these clips will work on these clips will work on the railings, and again, modularity. So you can cut them down. I have a little cut off piece of a rail just for my lug nut sockets, and then over here, modularity with the wobble sockets. I got all my 3/8 wobbles, and then I got my 1/2 inch wobbles. And I don't have a full set of 1/2 inch because I really don't need anything bigger than 22 and wobble. 18, 19, 21, and 22 is just fine for that. But I can keep them all on the same rail. And they're not fixed to only have 3/8, which is a really nice feature, just as you grow and stuff. So kind of my down and dirty suggestion of socket rails and trays. I would highly not recommend the aluminum ones from Harbor Freight that are the $1 ones. Those are cheap. Your sockets are going to fall off. I do like these. I can pick them up, throw them in a cart, put them down, move them around fairly easy. As this collection and box grows, I will be taking away these plastic trays, putting these on rails, and moving more stuff in. But for the time being, just so I don't have any dead space, I keep the trays until I don't need them. And like these Allens from Icon were all on plastic trays. These wobbles from Snap-on came in a plastic tray, and they've since been deleted. So hopefully this video finds you well, gives you some ideas how to set up your top drawer for socket organization. Again, speed is a big thing when you're working in this industry. You want to be able to grab and go. These come out fairly easy. You can see if it's missing fairly easy, so you know what sockets are gone. I really like them. It was cheap, inexpensive, and works fairly well for the years I've been doing this. Hope you enjoyed the video, and see you on the next one.